Good morning and welcome to another pre-market review session with the market trader. Back from my hiatus last week as I was hosting or co-hosting the Top Step opening call. Back in earnest here to give you guys some fantastic context in the markets here. So just kind of remind you, I'm here to offer you guys some insight on the markets. And if you are not a subscriber at the moment and are looking for a portal to offer you some context on a daily basis to help you navigate the markets, you've come to the right place. And if you want to even go a little bit further with your trading and want to get some additional premium content, consider to become a member. All right. With that said, we'll go ahead and start off with our requisite risk disclosure document here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and share with you our risk disclosure, just to let everybody know that the content that's being distributed by the market trader is to be treated as general information only. None of the information provided or contained herein is intended as investment advice. An offer to buy, sell, recommend, endorse, sponsor any security, company, or fund. We all understand that the use of this information contained herein is to be used at your own risk, and the company and its partners, representatives, agents, employees, and contractors assume no responsibility or liability for any use or misuse of such information. We all understand that future trading does carry a fair amount of risk. An investor could potentially lose all or more of their investment capital. Only risk capital, money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle, should be used when trading, and only individuals with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Again, nothing contained herein is intended as a solicitation or an offer to buy, sell futures, options, or forex, and past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning, Dirk. Welcome. Good to see you. Okay. All right. Let's now that we've gotten through the risk disclosure, guys, we're going to go ahead and turn our attention to the markets. Actually, before we turn our attention to the markets, we're going to go ahead and turn our attention to the news and see what news that we have what news horizon that has the potential of impacting markets here. Okay. Now we have relatively light news today. Okay. We have Fed member, Waller, who's, has spoken. All right. This morning, we have U.S. factory orders month over month that could potentially impact the markets here at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And then we have some sort of Trump event. I don't know if that's a speaking engagement, but anytime there is a sort of speaking engagement, he could obviously he has in the past and it will continue to do so. It have potential in impacting the markets. Taking a look ahead here, we have some more news as we head into the week here. We have consumer confidence coming in tomorrow. We have EIA on Wednesday with NVIDIA coming in with earnings after the bell. On Thursday, we have initial jobless claims, and then we close out the week with the day of news, PPI year over year, month over month, and then core PPI year over year, month over month. So fair amount of news as we head into the week in trading here. Okay, all right. Let's go ahead now that we've gotten through the news portal here. Let's go ahead and turn our attention to the markets. And okay, so let's go ahead and do that and see if I can locate my charting platform and do just that here. So give me a second here as I navigate. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here we are. Looking at gold. We're going to go ahead and change to the regular contract here. Okay. We're going to go ahead and start briefly with the monthly and the weekly. I like to start the week. If you have not already seen my weekly review, I would encourage you to do so. But we'll just kind of spot check the monthly and the weekly here before we get started into the daily. All right. I'd like to start the week with kind of a review of what's taking place on all these time frames. Okay, especially time frames that we don't normally look at on a daily basis here. Okay, so taking a look at the monthly chart. Looking at the monthly chart, we can see that gold, after this little sell-off that we received at the end of January, continues to show some signs of strength here as we come into the close of February. Okay, so market continues to show strength. Okay, now we're at kind of trading up at the 51.68, 51.69 level as we speak here. Monthly chart is looking quite at even quite a little bit on the parabolic side, to be honest. Okay, taking a look at the weekly side, again, you can see that the market continues to show signs of strength, getting a little bit more in the way of participation on both sides of the market here. Obviously, we had that sell-off in January. We had the first week of February that also created a fair amount of volatility, and that volatility continued over the course of the next couple of weeks. We're coming into another candle this week that seems to have left a little bit of a gap here. Okay, a little bit of a gap opening of the week. So that's obviously in this case to the upside. So that's kind of an indication that there's a fair amount of interest in the long side in the gold market. Okay, taking a look at the daily chart. Again, we're coming off some levels here. You can see that we continue to hold the 9 EMA in this market. We're starting to see that the positive DI is kind of making its way above the negative DI and kind of diverging. Really not seeing a whole lot of strength at the moment. Our ADX reading is below 18, so it's still relatively weak kind of momentum. And looking at the volume delta, obviously volume is to the upside. Would probably like to see increasing volume to give me some confidence that we are moving into some sort of trend here. Now there's the gap that was left with the open of the week here, right? So we closed the week with at what was that? Close was 5080.90, 5080.90, and we opened with 5128.8. Now I don't know, maybe that's it could be there's maybe the potential of rollover here. I'm not sure, but that's a pretty significant gap here in the market, right? That's a 40 point gap in the gold. Okay, take a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we're going to go ahead and disable the initial balance here for a moment. Just kind of take a look here to see what the market is doing. Okay, so I'm looking. You can see here I have the 4-hour kind of higher time frame, which is not something that we're taking a look at. We're looking at now. You can see that the market is well above some of the areas that we care about, including VWAP. Okay, so you can see here that we're above. Sorry, disable this here. Too many letters. We see that price is above the 20, above the 50, above the 100, above the 200, indicating that we are in a fair amount of momentum here to the upside. Taking a look at the DMI, you're starting to see a little bit of an increase here in the ADX indicator, the momentum indicator. We've already received a push of the positive DI above our negative. Unfortunately, right now, it seems to be a little bit on the converging side based on the fact that price is indeed kind of consolidating here, ranging here a little bit, maybe developing a little bit of a bullish flag. Nonetheless, we see that the market is above our value area and above all the moving averages that we care about. So kind of giving us an indication that we are in some sort of bullish structure here at the moment. Taking a look at the 30-minute chart, really not a whole lot to be said here as far as a direction, right? The market, ever since the open has been in some sort of range. Okay, you can see that the market has been a lot of overlap in price, and that's also evident in our DMI indicator. Right now, looking at again, I have these indicators here on the right, kind of helping me and supporting me and making sure that I'm on the right side of the market. You can see that on the higher time frame, like the 1 hour and the 4 hour, we're actually developing a little bit in the way of bearish candles. Okay, so that's kind of giving us some indication that maybe there is some further downside potential in this market. Okay, so we're kind of hovering. I would say a little bit on an extended side here, right on the 30-minute. Ever since the open here, we've been in some sort of range. If we take a look here at the let's see, what did I open up? The initial balance range for the various markets here. You can see that it appears that Asia kind of opened to actually range to the downside. Okay, you can see that it was unable to break, or actually, this is kind of more of a classic failed auction. You can see here, right? You can see that price managed to close above, but was unable to hold above and rotated all the way down to the other side of the initial balance range. Okay, that's kind of what is contributing, I believe, into what we're seeing here in the 1 hour and 4 hour chart, right? So I like keeping the higher time frame visible, okay, in my charts, so that I can get my I can align the lower time frame in the same direction of the market. So we are seeing a little bit of maybe some bearish price action here. I'm going to take a look here at London, see what London has to offer here as far as insight. And looking at London, you can see that price is kind of hovering actually above the initial balance range, okay, but has not been able to really extend that range all that well, okay. So this is probably a classic definition of range kind of price action, right? We had Asia drive price lower, we had London drive price higher, and now we're kind of stuck in this range. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the initial balance range for the current session and see what kind of range we're developing here at the moment for the New York session here. And we won't know exactly which side of this market here. Let's disable this here. So we have a very small range. You can see that's developing currently in the gold market. I had even to expand the width of my chart here just to be able to see the developing candle that we have currently. Very much a indecisive candle, right? We have wicks on both ends, developing kind of a doji-like kind of candle. We're getting participation on both sides of the market here at the moment. We have selling wicks and buying wicks, and it just completed, a candle that was very much to the bearish side. So it'll be interesting to see if price is able to get above 51.85. Okay, 51.85 is an area that has at least demonstrated of late as an area that is having a little bit of difficulty getting above. And then I would say to the downside, I think price is having a little bit of difficulty getting below 51.65. Okay, so we're kind of in this range here at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this the most recent low, most recent high, and right now price is inside both ranges. Okay, so as I look into or as I head into the market, I would have to say, just looking at the higher time frame and trying to align myself up with the other time frames, it does appear that we are seeing a little bit in the way of some bearish price action here at the moment. Okay, I'm going to be patient and wait to see if I get an event that would indicate that the market is indeed looking to continue bearish. And then specifically, what I'm waiting for is to see if we can get a bear or price to extend the range or to break the low of this initial balance range, and at least give me an opportunity to get back down to this level down here, this kind of intermediate low that we created during the overnight. Okay, so that might be an area, and then possibly that will take me as low as the this is the first part of here. This is kind of the 50. This is the 50 moving average. Okay, 50 exponential moving average here. Okay, so that would be kind of a natural target if price were to kind of break here to the downside. Okay, don't see much in the way of resistance from keeping that happening here. Okay, so we We did try to make a new high. That failed. Market came back to the same level where those sellers were present. And for now, it appears that the sellers are still very much interested in driving price lower. So I'm going to go with a neutral to potentially bearish kind of rating here in the gold market, just based on the recent price action that I've seen ever since the price booked above the initial balance range of Asia. Ever since then, we've been in some sort of bearish structure. We even broke some structure here to the downside. So I would say that I'm neutral to bearish in the gold. Okay, moving on to the silver market. Looking at the silver market, again, taking a look. We're going to go ahead and take a peek here at the monthly, just like we did. If you have not already seen my weekly review, I would encourage you to take a look at that. I go into far more detail about the silver market and other markets in that video. Okay, so you can see here that we did open above, right? Or actually, we have a relatively, continue to show signs of some strength here. We had a rather strong bearish candle in the opposing direction to close out January. And then we have not quite equally as strong, but certainly an opposing candle in the other direction. We've kind of closed out the gap, got to a low of 64, and now we're trading back up to this 86.70 level. Okay, so showing that maybe we're starting to see some maybe two-sided trading here at the moment, because this kind of silver move was very much parabolic and obviously unsustainable. Not a move that we could potentially expect for the market to continue to sustain. Okay, so monthly chart, I would say, continues to show signs of bullish price action. Taking a look at the weekly, also, I would say that this obviously, spoiled the hopes of a lot of buyers here these last few weeks. So bearish candle, indecisive candle, and then looks like the bulls are starting to get a little bit more confidence in potentially taking this market and maybe revisiting some of these highs that were booked back in January. Okay, price is above our 20, above our 50, above our 100, and we're starting to see some signs that the volume is supportive of this move. Now, the most recent volume is obviously not to be seen, but we did get some volume generated here on this move that we created this past week. Based on the DMI, you can see that price is above our negative DI, indicating that there's a fair amount of buying pressure in this market. And we have a relatively strong reading here on the ADX side that we're still in the relatively good amount of momentum, although that momentum is kind of flattening here a bit. Good amount of momentum here in this market to the upside. Okay, taking a look at the daily chart. Looking at the daily chart, you can see that we've kind of tested these bottoms here multiple times, and it seems like we are developing a little bit in the way of some support here, right? So we came and tested 60, 70, 69, came back, and we're not able to get back to that same level that we did before. So that's obviously bullish. We've started to break some structure here to the upside. Price has gapped above this most recent level of 83, and now beginning to challenge this level of 87. We've touched that level of 87. We won't know until the end of today whether we're going to be able to get above it. But nonetheless, we're starting to see a little bit of kind of a little bit of a bottoming pattern maybe developing here in the silver market. Okay, taking a look at the 4-hour chart, kind of zooming in on these daily candles, just to kind of see what kind of reference we can generate from them. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the initial balance range. I don't need that just yet. And I'm just going to kind of take a look here and see what kind of candle progressions are we developing here. Okay. So as you can see, right, if I'm just looking at this, these set of candles, you can see that we are developing some bullish structure in this market, right? Every little pullback has been met with some buyers. So we're creating higher highs and higher lows. Now, as I get additional context of this market, we managed to break above some prior areas. So that's obviously bullish, right? So this area right here could serve as an area of some support, and it has so far. And then we have obviously this next level above us, right around the 90 level, that could serve as an area of some resistance. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that area as resistant. I see that price has managed to get above. And if we are able to hold, I don't see any reason or anything that would stand in the way of price revisiting 90 in this market. Okay. Now, if price is unable to hold above, let's say 85, 85.50, then yes, then I would say that there's a possibility that we revisit some of these lows here down to some of these moving averages that we have below in the market. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead now and take a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, you can see a little bit of a topping pattern, I would say. I'm kind of looking at this from both sides. So we see that price managed to get above. We have yet to make a new high. If anything, we've made a new low, right? So price has not been able to get above, let's call it 87. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark this 87 as an area of interest here. Okay, price has not been able to get above that level. On the contrary, it has broken and made a new low here. So it looks like maybe the market wants to come back and revisit this level here of 85 that we mentioned before. And if it's able to hold it, great. We have a level where we can participate in the market and not have to take all that much risk. But I'm feeling that maybe what the market wants to do here, and I'm going to use my Fibonacci tool to kind of help me with this analysis. But if it feels like the market wants to potentially come back to some of these moving averages before it makes that move to the upside here. So I'm thinking that maybe the market wants to make a little bit of a measured move here down to maybe the 50 EMA, down to this 100% extension of 84 before it decides that it wants to head higher. That's kind of what I'm seeing so far. Since we have been unable to get above 87, it looks like it's trying to find some additional buyers. And I would say that certainly this level could produce them around the 85 level, or the next logical level for me would be this 84.20 level, at which point I would say that would kind of complete this little measured move. That's maybe where we are in the beginnings of developing. And then at that point, maybe we see a little reaction that we're expecting in this market back to the upside. Okay, so seeing a little bit of bearish price action here on the 30-minute. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the initial balance range that have been established across the various sessions here. So we'll go ahead and start off with the Asia session here and see what Asia was able to bring. Asia was for the most part ranging, right? We did peak, we peaked above, we peaked below, but was unable to sustain in either direction. Price has since ranged back to the top of the initial balance range in London, and now we've booked or are looking to book some pretty solid bearish candles in the bearish direction. Okay, taking a look at London. Looking at London, appears that London has been somewhat range bound here. Okay, we actually, unlike the gold market, we've actually booked back inside the initial balance range, right? So when we were looking at London for gold, we saw that price was hovering around this level, right above the initial balance high. But since that we've spoken, well, at least we're seeing in silver, we're seeing some interest here in maybe driving the market lower. We got a little bit of volume coming in to the short side. Looking at our DMI, we're seeing a little bit of a spike in our selling pressure in this market. So I'm going to go with right now, if I had to, more of a neutral to bearish kind of view here. Okay. As I'm looking at these candle formations of late, it looks like maybe the market wants to make that next leg lower. We got a pretty strong bearish candle here. That's double the size of any volume bar of late. So a significant number of sellers have kind of stepped into this market. The question is, can they sustain this move? Can they sustain and close below 85? At which point, maybe it gives us some confidence that we get back down to 84. Otherwise, we could potentially see the market kind of peak below here and kind of maybe make an early reversal without reaching that area. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm seeing in the silver market, a market that is looking a little bit, I would say, neutral to bearish at this moment in time. We have not made any new highs of late. and we're looking, or it seems we won't know here. Well, this 30-minute candle is going to close here in a minute. So that this candle could very well close as bearish. That would give us maybe a little bit more confidence that the market does indeed want to close or continue in the bearish direction. All right. Taking a look at the we're gonna turn our attention over now to the crude oil market. Looking at the crude oil, looks like the crude oil market has caught some sort of bid here. Taking a look at the monthly chart, we're starting to see that maybe price has maybe reached the bottom here in this market, at least temporarily, right? You can see that we've created a little bit of a double bottom here in this market, and we booked a very nice monthly candle in January, and are kind of working another bullish candle here in February. We still have 69 above us, right? 69 that could be resistant to some of this price action, but we are starting to see a little bit of a slowdown in the advance to the downside, and created a little bit of a double bottom in the process here. Taking a look at the weekly chart, looking at the weekly chart, you can see that price has not made just one attempt at lower pricing, two attempts at lower pricing, three attempts at lower pricing, and each attempt failed. And we've rallied each time. Okay. And now it appears that we've moved into what appears to maybe a little bit more in the way of some bullish structure in this market. You can see here in the DMI, we're seeing a little bit of strength here coming in to this market. Our ADX indicator is not quite at the levels that we would expect to really give it a strong reading, okay, from the momentum side. But we are seeing a little bit of some separation between the negative and the positive. More importantly, we're seeing the negative DI, this red color line here, losing momentum, okay? And in turn, we're seeing that the positive is gaining momentum. So indicating that there's a fair amount of buying pressure that is coming into this market at this moment. Taking a look at the daily chart. Looking at the daily chart, we managed to break above and close above, I would say, a relatively important level here at 65.80. Okay. I think I mentioned maybe in my weekly review or some of my prior reviews, I thought that 65.80 was a relatively important area for price to remain above if we are going to continue in this kind of bullish structure that we're seeing on the daily chart. We are developing a candle that is bullish that could potentially book a new high in this market. We're seeing our ADX and our ADX indicator give us a pretty strong reading at 30. And we're seeing that our positive DI is above our negative DI, indicating that the sentiment still remains to the bullish side. Volume delta very much aligned with the current direction. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart, just kind of zooming in on these candles here. We're going to go ahead and turn off the initial balance range here for a moment, just so that I can kind of make sense of what, give a little bit more view on these individual price candles. And you can see, right, you can see that price, assuming that we do indeed close above here, we're seeing that price is above this area of resistance or supply, however you want to phrase it. And we're developing a candle here that is above that range. Now, with all the uncertainty that we're seeing in the world, right, it stands to reason that maybe there is a view that oil might become a little bit more scarce, right, because of some of the items or some of the world kinds of things that are taking place, right? So, nonetheless, we're traders, right? We're trying to arrive at context of the market. And the context of the market appears that the market is potentially moving into a market that has been bearish for quite some time to a market that's looking a bit more on the bullish side, okay? Taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, again, just looking at these most recent series of candles here. I have the higher time frame candles here on the right-hand side. You can see that we're developing a rather strong 4-hour candle in the bullish direction. Similarly with the 1 hour, I would say that we are, well extended above our moving averages, right? Above our 20, above our VWAP. Okay, so there's a fair amount of distance now between price and some of these moving averages. Okay, nonetheless, it's giving us an indication that the market is quite strong to the upside. If I take a look at the my DMI indicator, you can see that our ADX indicator now is giving us a reading of 28, indicating that there is a good amount of momentum in this bullish move, and we're seeing a good amount of separation between the positive DI and the negative DI here, right? There's the positive, there's a negative, there's our ADX. Both our positive and our ADX is sloping in the current direction, and our negative DI is sloping in the downward direction, indicating that we're losing a little bit of pressure here to the sell side and gaining buying pressure in this market, and it's supported by volume currently, right? All the volume is coming in on the buy side. So as I head into the session, okay, I would say that I need to locate areas where I could potentially participate in this market. I would say to the bullish side, I'd like to see if maybe the market could give me another retest, they say 66.75, 66.80, right around this zone right here. Sort of the area where price broke the range. That would be a logical area for me to potentially participate in this market to the upside. If I take a look at the initial balance ranges across these sessions, you will see that we got London is quite bullish, right? You can see London was quite bullish to the upside. Asia, more than likely, is probably not going to give us much. Crude oil doesn't trade all that well in Asia, right? It was pretty much range bound in Asia, but we got a very nice push during London, and we're well above the initial balance range that's been established in London to the upside. Okay, so good amount of extension here. So are we a little bit overdue maybe for a little bit of pullback? I would say so. Okay, I'd like to see maybe the market giving us a little bit of a pullback. I don't know if we're going to get a deep pullback, but if we get a deeper pullback, I like this 66.30 level. I certainly like this 66.70 level. Those are a couple of levels where I can manage my risk, and I see that there's evidence of buying in those areas, and that allows me to participate in an upside move here. Okay, so headed into the session, I would have to say that the market, and I don't think I've said this in quite some time, but I'm starting to see that we are entering potentially a market that is looking a bit on the bullish side in the crude oil. Okay, so I'm bullish on crude oil. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at the equity markets. We'll go ahead and start off with the NASDAQ. Okay, we're going to start off with the monthly quickly here, just to get a sense of what kind of candle is the monthly developing here. Well, you can see, looking at the monthly candle, right, you can see that we're a little bit of seeing a little bit in the way of indecision in this market, a lot more in the way of ranging candles. More importantly, you can see, look at the buying and selling wicks that we're seeing in the market. So that's an indication that the market is kind of maybe trying to understand which direction they want to take this market. We see some interest on the buy side. We see some interest on the sell side. And as a result, we get a market that's been ranging of late here. Okay. Taking a look at the weekly chart, more of the same. Market has been ranging, as I mentioned in the past. If I can contain price in a box, that's an indication that the market is in some sort of range. You can see that we have not been able to get above 26,000. We have not been able to get above, say, 24,000. Let's see. Yeah, 24,000, say 300. Okay. And we've been in this range ever since, right? So again, market is I guess, really seeking some guidance as to which direction they want to take this. Looking at the daily chart, okay, again, more of the same. Market, seems to be in some sort of range in this market. We're seeing of late on the daily chart, we're below some of our moving averages. The only one that we are above is the 200 moving average. All the other moving averages that we care about, the 20, the 50, the 100, price is below all of them. The only one that we're above is the 200. So is this going to be an area of continued support, right? This between the say 24,500, maybe as low as 24,200. Is this going to continue to serve as an area of support? If so, then I'd like to be able to see price eventually get above 25,400 if I'm going to align myself to that view. If not, then I feel like this area, this area around this 25,300, 25,500, this is going to provide me maybe an area where I could potentially see market, continuing to the downside. Okay. That's kind of what I'm seeing. Maybe extending a little bit further here, maybe up to this point of control before we see maybe another leg here to the downside. Okay. Because we have broken some structure to the downside on the daily, right? We broke this level of structure here, right, to the downside, broke this level of structure to the downside. We reacted back to that same relative level and found some more sellers. So the question now becomes, it seems like we are ranging. Are we ranging or coiling here for another leg lower? Okay, that's kind of what I'm seeing so far. If I'm thinking bullish, then I need to see price, as I mentioned, above this 24,475 level. Okay, taking a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart. Let's see if I can find this 4-hour chart here. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart, we're going to go ahead and disable the initial balance range here for a moment. Okay, so let's collapse this here a little bit. All right, so 4-hour chart again. Those are those levels that we kind of alluded to. There's our little range that we established here. This little zone of demand that's been created below here. Let's see if I could. Okay, well, leave it at that here. So there's our area. There's our area of support that we've established on the higher time frame. This area down below between 24,400, 24,200. Again, if we are going to maintain this structure here, that would indicate maybe the possibility of the market continuing to the upside. We don't want to see price get below this 24,450 level, and certainly not below 24,200. Okay. We do have some resistance above us here on the 4-hour chart. As you mentioned on the daily, we do see that price is kind of hovering around our 20, hovering around our maybe 50 moving averages. We have reacted away from our 100, and we see that price is below our 200 moving average. Okay, so still, I would say in relatively bearish structure here. Again, a lot of the structure that's been broken has been to the downside. Okay. And we are hovering up at maybe an area where we think that could offer us some indication that maybe the market wants to potentially head higher here. Okay, so interesting level here on the 4-hour, right around point of control. Taking a look at the 30-minute chart, looking at the 30-minute chart. Okay, looks like we did get a little bit of a rounding bottom here, right around this 24,820, 24,800 level. So that seems to be somewhat supportive. So we're going to go ahead and mark that level as support. Okay. So this level does appear to be a supportive area. We see that price exceeded some of our moving averages and now currently holding our VWAP. Now, unfortunately, our VWAP is a little bit on the flat side, right? So not really giving us, again, a strong indication as to which direction they want to take this. VWAP is flat. Our DMI is also relatively flat. And we have a consolidating negative and positive DI, and we have, more importantly, our momentum reading is falling. So telling us that there's really not a whole lot of pressure or a whole lot of interest in either direction. Right? We did get price to kind of exceed this range, but instead of kind of creating more of a divergence between the buyers and the sellers, we've kind of collapsed here and created a little bit of a range here. So. Taking a look here at the initial balance across the various sessions, just to get a sense of what the earlier markets were able to do with these markets here. So we'll start off with Asia. Okay, so Asia was pretty much range bound. You can see, right? Let's see if I can collapse this, right? Pretty much range bound in Asia, right? We got a little bit of a push to the downside, met with some buyers, and now we rotated back through the upper side of the range. And now looking at London, looks like London is pretty much the same range. Looks like we are in some sort of range kind of price action. We did manage to exceed the range, but that was kind of short-lived before sellers began to step into this market and drive price back to the other side of the initial balance range. and reacted off a logical area to find some buyers. Now we're back above the initial balance range. So that's kind of an indication of bullish kind of price action. So if we are able to hold above, say, 24,940, 24,935, then it appears that we want to make another attempt at this 25,000 level. The last time we got to this, or in the overnight, we failed. We weren't able to get above 25,000. But looks like we didn't go too far. Looks like we recruited some more buyers, and now it looks like we are intent to maybe making another attempt at this 25,000 level. So I'm going to go with kind of another neutral rating here in the Nasdaq. I am seeing maybe there is a little bit of interest here in the shorter time frame to the bullish side. I'm looking at the higher time frames, and that seems to be aligned with that general direction. Okay, so don't see any reason at the moment why price cannot at least get up to the highs here of London around 25,000. Okay, so I'm gonna give it a neutral to kind of neutral to bullish reading. Okay, based on what I'm seeing here on the London, but we do need to get above. We need to hold above 25,000 if we are going to continue to maybe make strides to maybe revisit some of these highs back from Friday. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead now and move into the ES because we are running a little bit out of time here. So, and I do want to get through this before the markets open. So we'll quickly look at the monthly chart on the ES. Again, similar to what we were seeing in the Nasdaq, right? A lot in the way of overlapping candles here. A little bit in the way of some indecision here at these markets at the moment. 7,000 continues to be a level of some resistance. There doesn't seem to be much interest in taking this market above 7,000. If anything, it seems like they want to have maybe some sort of catalyst here, maybe to bring price back a bit here. Okay, so monthly chart, while still bullish, it appears that it's losing a little bit of momentum here to the upside. Okay, taking a look at the weekly chart, a lot more in the way of overlapping price, a lot more in the way of overlapping price action, and you can see here that price is developing a fair amount of volume here, right? It's a good amount of volume here around 6,900. Now, is that volume to support a move to the upside, or is that volume to support a move potentially to the downside? We don't know. What we do know is that there's two-sided trading going on at the moment. There's not aggressive buyers or sellers taking place here at the moment on the weekly chart. Taking a look at the daily similar vein, right? Again, we see that there's a lot in the way of overlapping price. Looks like we did make an attempt here to maybe take price higher of late here, right? We got down to this what appears to be I can't recall what the darker orange is. Looks like the 100 moving average here. Okay, we got down to the 100 moving average, and looks like we found some buyers. Price has managed to get above the 50, and it's kind of working its way to see if it can get above the 20. But again, we're seeing some evidence here of some overlapping price action, right? Prices are overlapping. A lot of two-sided trading going on here at the moment. Looking at the 4-hour chart, more of the same. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the initial balance range here for a moment. More kind of range, kind of price action around 6,900 and 6,915 of late in this market. It seems that we have left maybe some areas of interest here below, right? So this area does kind of speak to me here a little bit. This 6850 does appear to be an area of some level of support. Price has not been able to close back inside it, so indicating that there might be some interest here to the bullish side in the 4-hour chart. Certainly around 6850. Right, price has managed to come to this level a couple of times, and they found in both cases buyers. Now we have made a new high, recent high. We're not able to hold it, and we came back to this level. So the question now becomes, can we get above 69.25? If we can get above 69.25, I think 69.80 is very much in the cards here. All right, taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, again, we're seeing a little bit in the way of some bullish price action of late here. We got a nice little swing here to the upside a pullback to VWAP, which we all like to see. And now we've developed over the last set of 30-minute candles, over the last hour and a half, just prior to the open of the market, some more bullish price action, right? You can see on the 4-hour candles and the 1-hour candles, they both are indicating some bullish pressure. Okay, looking at the volume delta, that's also indicating some bullish pressure, and as well as the DMI, we're seeing a little bit of separation. The only thing that's kind of lagging here is the strength of this move. Okay, taking a look at the initial balance ranges across the various sessions, we're going to go ahead and start with Asia here and see what Asia was able to do with this market. Asia was looks like was able to, or actually London was able to extend this market to the upside, and price managed to come back to that same level. And what did we find? We found more buyers. So that's obviously bullish for the market. Asia, let's see. Asia was relatively, I would say maybe a tad bearish. Okay. They attempted to take the market lower, but again, found some buyers at these levels. So right now I'm seeing some evidence of interest on the buy side, not in any sort of random location, but in some reference levels that I care about. Initial balance low, initial balance high, right? So I'm getting some indication of some bullish interest here. So as we head into the session, I think the view is neutral to bullish on the ES here, at least up to 69.30. Okay. But obviously we still need to get above 6,900 or 6,910. But I am seeing some interest in both Asia and London to the upside. So I'm going to go with a neutral to bullish reading in the ES. Okay. YM, our Dow. We'll take a look at the monthly chart, okay, with the time that we have, and then we'll summarize kind of our stance across the markets. Again, relatively strong move here to the upside in the monthly chart. Really no solid indications that the market is reversing. Only thing I will say is that we are seeing more participation to the sell side with these selling wicks on some of these candles, okay? Not seeing that these candles are overly strong to the upside, okay? Taking a look at the weekly chart, okay? Weekly chart, more of the same. Momentum it continues to be to the buy side. You're seeing that price is above our 20 moving average. We have not broken below our 20, so we have to kind of err on the side of bull, okay? Taking a look at the daily, a little bit more in the way of range kind of price action of late, okay? Over the last few days, we've been ranging. Probably not a market that is overly conducive to trend trades, right? Seeing a lot in the way of trending price over the last 5 days. And we opened with an inside candle, so indicating to us that there's possibility of more range in this market, all right? Taking a look at the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart, kind of zooming in on these daily candles. Again, more of the same. We're seeing a lot in the way of overlapping price. A lot of our moving averages here are converging at these levels at 49,500. Okay. We had a nice little push here to the downside, but we were unable to sustain that push, and we've lost some momentum, I would say, to the downside here of late since Thursday. Now, the question is this loss in momentum buyers kind of building their portfolios for a leg higher? We don't know. Or are sellers kind of building some more participation for maybe a continuation move? We don't know. What we do know is that there's a good amount of two-sided trading going on here in the Dow. Okay. All right. Taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Okay. Similar to what we saw in the NASDAQ and the ES, you can see that price did give us a swing higher. Probably a little bit of deeper pullback that I would expect to see if I was in a maybe strong bullish market here. But nonetheless, we found some buyers down at these lows here around 49,400, and we've kind of rallied ever since. Okay, we've rallied ever since. Price is above our VWAP, above our 20, above some of these moving average, but technically we are below our 200 moving average. Okay. We have not made a new low in recently, so that's probably giving a little bit of hope to the buyers that maybe they can take this market higher. If we can get price above this 49,575, they may be onto something. Okay, taking a look at the initial balance across the various ranges. Okay, we'll start with Asia. Asia, very similar kind of price action we saw in ES and NASDAQ, also evident in Asia. We did take a peek below, did not have the participation, so we reversed and we went back to the highs, found some sellers. Okay, so again, we're seeing price action that indicates more range kind of price action in this market, where we have of late have not really made any new highs or new lows. We've stayed inside this 49,700 down to 49,300, and we remained in this range for some time. Okay, let's take a quick peek at London, and then we'll kind of summarize kind of our view across all the markets here. So looking at London, you can see again that the market did make an attempt to go higher. That was rejected, got up to the 200 moving average and rejected. Okay, now we got back to an area where we would expect to find some buyers, and we're starting to see some interest in driving this price back to that same level of this 200 moving average. Are we still going to have sellers up here at the 200 moving average? I think we will witness that at some point during this session. So again, given the fact that price is kind of making its way, I'm seeing some evidence of maybe some higher lows here in this market. So I'm going to give it a neutral to kind of maybe bullish reading, since we are what appears to be in some sort of bullish leg here in this market. I am seeing the DMI and the buying pressure kind of increase here. ADX really hasn't followed. Volume is supportive, but would probably need to see an increase in volume here to really support a continued move here to the bullish side. Okay, so let's wrap up this session with just kind of an overall kind of last peek here across all the markets. So here we are looking at the gold market. I think we were initially maybe a little bit bearish, okay, on this market. I see of late that it looks like the market has kind of picked up here a little bit. We're seeing that the market is looking maybe potentially has left this kind of demand zone behind at 51.71. Now we have a bullish engulfing candle that's developing up against 51.85. So I'm going to give it a neutral. I'm going to give it a neutral rating. Okay, at this point, I'm not seeing any new lows or new highs at this point. I see resistance above me. I see support below me. So until we can kind of break either above 5,200 or break below 51.40, I'm going to keep it as at a neutral rating. All right. Taking a look at silver. Silver also exhibiting the same kind of price action. Again, finding some support here at 85.50, finding some resistance at 86.90, 87. And now we've seen both sides of the market kind of revisited. We had two nice bearish candles, maybe giving us the indication that maybe there was a move that could lead to lower. But what did we find at the lows? We found some buyers. So I'm going to go with a neutral rating in the silver. Okay. Moving on to crude oil. Crude oil seems to be the strongest of the markets here. I'm seeing a fair amount of strength in crude oil. So I'm going to give this a bullish rating in crude. And then across the various equities, again, I'm going to give it a maybe some bullish rating based on what I'm seeing here on the higher time frame. Right, we're developing some candles that would indicate that maybe there's some more upside opportunities in this market. Higher time frame this is relatively bullish. 1 hour relatively bullish. 30-minute relatively bullish. Well, that's exactly what we're seeing here, right? We're seeing maybe a potential break of this bearish flag that we're bearish pattern. Consolidation pattern to the upside. If we do manage to get above 25,000, I don't see any reason why we don't come back and maybe touch some of these highs. Okay. ES, similar kind of view, I would say. Again, showing some bullish kind of price action. Again, 6,900, 6,910 seems to be the area of interest. Can we hold above it? Then at that point, I would say that we don't, that 69.25 is not out of the realm of possibilities here. So we're going to go with more of a neutral to bullish rating on the ES. And then ultimately the Dow. The Dow is probably the weakest of the three at this point, right? We are managed to maybe sequence here some bullish candles here, but we're still kind of relatively in the middle of the range. Probably would need to see price get above this 49,550 level, maybe as high as 49,600 before I'm able to maybe turn my view on this from a neutral rating to more of a bullish one, right? We got a little bit more deeper, little bit of pullback before we found some buyers. So indicating while it is bullish, it is a little bit maybe neutral to bullish on the Dow. Okay. So with that, guys, I think that's going to pretty much close this session with a minute to spare here. So if you are not currently a subscriber, I encourage you to do so. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave me a note or two indicating that how this analysis is supporting you in your view of the markets. And until tomorrow, which I will be here, I think for the most of the week. I don't have any commitments on TV this week, so I will be with you throughout this week, providing you context on the markets here. So with that, we'll close with trade well, trade safe, trade like a pro, be a market trader. You're welcome, Dirk. Thank you for your consistency in supporting me in this on the portal here. Okay. All right, guys. So it looks like we just got the open of the market. So we'll have to kind of sit on our hands, kind of wait to see what the market provides us. Remember, guys, this is Monday. We have a whole week ahead. Be patient. Wait for your levels. If you see evidence of the direction, don't hesitate. But be patient. Don't chase. All right. Have a good day, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Thanks, Gonzo. Is it? It's a little bit on the small side.